there, this is Christina Johnson, Certified Transformational Nutrition Coach and owner of Christina Johnson Wellness. And today I want to share with you 3 of my favorite home remedies to fight off a cold or the flu. And I'm also going to share a couple of my favorite prevention strategies too, so that you don't ever have to get sick to begin with. Because, I used to be the person who would come down with a really bad cold probably a couple times a year. And each time it would stick around for a couple weeks. And my throat would hurt really bad. I'd be all stuffy. I'd lose my voice. I really didn't feel well for quite a while. But since I've started using these strategies that I'm going to share with you in just a minute, I just don't get sick like that anymore. And if I do start to come down with something, I can usually ward it off within probably a day or 2. So let me show you what I'm talking about. The first home remedy is apple cider vinegar. There we go. Some of you probably use this already and know about it. It's kind of gained in popularity in the last couple of years. But a couple things, when you do buy apple cider vinegar, you really want to get stuff that's raw and with the mother. It's kind of gross, but it's all the stuff that kind of floats there at the bottom. It's the yeast and everything that collects, but it's really what has a lot of the active beneficial nutrients in it. So this is the kind, I buy the Bragg's. You can get it at most any grocery store, but here's what I do with it. So for me, when I'm starting to get sick, I will usually kind of wake up in the morning and have a little bit of a sore, scratchy, dry throat, and it'll just kind of come and go for a couple days before it gets really bad. So the minute I notice this coming on, I grab my apple cider vinegar and I gargle with it. So I will pour a couple tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar in a glass with an equal amount of water and just gargle. And I'll usually do that, I don't know, somewhere between 2 and 5 times throughout the day, as often as I think of it and remember, and it kind of depends on how badly I really want to make sure I get rid of that sore throat. So I can honestly tell you that since I've started doing this, I really haven't ever gotten one of those really sore throats where it's hard to swallow. It does a really good job of killing any germs or bacteria that's in your throat. So that is probably my top favorite strategy for warding off a cold, is to gargle with apple cider vinegar. Another thing that apple cider vinegar is really helpful for is if you have an upset or nauseous stomach, you can make kind of a tea with the apple cider vinegar. So get like a coffee mug, fill it about halfway with warm water, and then add a couple tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar, and then take a lemon and cut the lemon into fourths and squeeze, about a fourth or half of the lemon, squeeze the juice into that tea mixture, stir it up and drink it. If you really don't like the taste of that, you can add a little bit of honey, preferably honey that is raw and local. But when you're sick, you really want to be careful of how much sugar you're consuming, because that suppresses the immune system and makes it harder for you to fight off whatever you're coming down with. But having that tea with the apple cider vinegar and lemon juice and water can really help settle an upset stomach. So that is my first and probably my favorite home remedy, is the apple cider vinegar, because it's just really effective for a lot of different things. So even if you use apple cider vinegar, go ahead and click the like button. I'm sure that there are people that use it. And if you have another use for apple cider vinegar, feel free to type that in the comments, because there's so many different ways you can use it. Okay, let's move on to my second favorite home remedy, and that is garlic. So fresh raw garlic has so many amazing properties to fight off and kill bacteria, infections, parasites, and even viruses. There was actually a study done that compared eating garlic with taking Tamiflu, and the study found that the garlic was as effective, if not more effective, than taking Tamiflu. So, really, personally, if I'm given the choice between a natural, cheap remedy with no side effects or taking Tamiflu, I'm going to go with the garlic every time. So what I do with the garlic is you want to take off 1 clove, peel it, and mince it up. So mince it up pretty finely, and then the key is you want to let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, because after it's been chopped and as it's sitting there, a lot of the compounds and enzymes that are healing, they get released. So you need to give it a few minutes for those to get released and to become active. So after it's sitting, you have a couple options. One thing that I do a lot of times is I'll just take a glass of water, put the garlic in it, stir it up, and kind of chug it. I know that, it doesn't taste the best because garlic is pretty potent, but it's quick and easy and then it's done. Another option, if you're not up for trying that, is just to sprinkle the garlic on something you're eating. So I found that it works really well with soup. So after you heat up the soup, then just stir in some garlic and eat it that way. It also combines well with things like ground beef. So if you have like spaghetti or something, you could just mix it into that. You could even sprinkle it on eggs. So however you want to, but I would recommend, probably taking like 1 clove of garlic like that a day. You could do 2 if you really want to make sure to fight it off. And I'll just do that for a couple days until I feel like whatever I was coming down with is starting to go away. So garlic is a huge, hugely beneficial remedy. Okay, the last one that I have for you is hydrogen peroxide, and this is the 3% hydrogen peroxide solution. And, this is also really good at killing off, bacteria. It can help with ear infections, sinus infections, and all kinds of things. So what I do, again, when I'm starting to get sick, especially if I feel like my ears are kind of plugged or draining, I will just take a drop or 2 of the hydrogen peroxide and tilt my head and just drop it in my ear and just let it sit there for a minute or 2, and it'll kind of like fizzle, and if my ear is plugged, it'll pop. So I just wait a minute or 2 until it seems like it's done doing its thing, and then I'll just take a paper towel, put it on my ear, and then just kind of let it drain out. And, so that's a great way to just kill off anything that's in the ear canal. So that's the 3rd natural remedy. So we have the apple cider vinegar that you can either gargle with for a sore throat, or you can make a tea out of it to help with an upset stomach. We have natural, or just garlic, which can kill off a lot of different kinds of germs, and then the hydrogen peroxide. And I am telling you that when I use these, I really can ward off whatever I'm coming down with pretty quickly, and it just never gets that bad. And there are several other home remedies that I use too, but I think these are 3 that are pretty effective. Okay, so the next thing is I just wanted to share with you really quickly a couple just more prevention type of strategies, because I think one of the reasons why these home remedies work so well for me is because all year round I'm doing a couple things that really boost my immune system. So number 1, it's eating real whole foods. I talked about that on the Facebook Live video last week. But it's just so important to eat those real foods that have all the nutrients in it that our immune system needs in order to be healthy and to work the way it's supposed to. So eating those real whole foods is key. And then the second big one, and it's, I think we all know it, but it's so hard to do, and that's cutting back on sugar. Any kind of refined or processed sugar will just suppress your immune system and make it so much harder for your body to fight off any, infection or germ or bacteria that it comes in contact with. So eating the real whole foods and cutting back on sugar, I think, are probably, for me personally, and for other people I know, are probably the 2 biggest things you can do prevention-wise. And I would say that the other thing is, I like to get my vitamin D levels checked every now and then, once every year or 2, because especially in the wintertime, it's easy for we're not getting exposed to sun, so our vitamin D levels can drop, and that can affect our immune system as well. So there you have it, a few of my favorite tips to fight off the cold and flu this season and to just stay healthy. It's no fun being sick at all. It just, it wears you out and you just don't feel good. And so for me personally, if there's some little things that I can do like this to stay healthy, then I am going to try it. So I'd love to hear in the comments if, any of these sound interesting to you, or what you think about them, or if there's any that you are willing to try. I would love to hear from you in the comments. And also, if you are interested in learning more about transitioning to eating real foods and cutting back on sugar, then I would be happy to chat with you about that. I offer free strategy sessions where we can just get on the phone and talk for about 30 minutes or so, and I can kind of just ask you some questions to figure out where you're at, so I can give you my recommendation on what might be the next best step for you to take. I think this time of year is a great time to think about this, because it really is a great way to boost your immune system for you and your family as we head into the cold and flu season. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to just write them in below the video. And I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I will be talking with you later. Bye for now.